Hello friends, Lee here from TableTopBong. Thanks for joining me. In this video, I thought we could hang out, have a fun sesh, and I'm going to show you exactly my routine to knock down a low mood using a dry herb vaporizer and just a little bit of dry herb. Every now and then, you can wake up or find yourself falling into a low mood throughout a day, right? It happens to everybody. We share this thing called the human experience that has an ebb and flow to it. Right? So that's the way energy moves. It's not always way up here riding the top of the wave, right? Sometimes we hit the bottom of the wave. And what do we do if we don't want to stay down there? We want to pop back up, right? Well, I woke up that way today, guys. It's very seldom that I wake up in a low mood. I've been pushing real hard in the background lately, doing a whole bunch of stuff, getting things ready for a big fall winter season. And I'm feeling a little bit depleted. So typically what I do is I'll go through this little routine I'm going to show you. And normally I would do that before I would shoot a video. If I woke up and felt this way, I would normally just get up, do this routine, and then I would start moving toward creating some content for you guys. But I decided maybe today the highest value content I could create would be to just show you how I knock this down. Because it's not about the vaporizer itself, it's more about the protocol and the mindset than it is about the actual device. So most of you could probably do this with the gear you already have without having to have anything extra. So I figure if we all wake up every now and then or find ourselves in a low mood one way or another, then we should all probably have a protocol to get out of it. So I thought I would just show you that today. Before we go too deep though into the video, I just want to shout out a couple of things real quick. Number one, I have created TableTopBong's YouTube channel as basically a backup channel for TableTopBong. Please head over, the link is in the description. Just hit that subscribe button, so if anything does happen to the TableTopBong channel, not that I expect it to, but if it were to happen, you know, I don't want to miss a beat. I want to just keep the community moving without a whole lot of downtime, right? So TableTopBong's channel is already happening. So that's number one. Number two, live streams Thursdays 9 Eastern on Twitch. Starting either this or next week. I'm not sure which yet. I haven't finalized the schedule, but it will be within the next couple of weeks. We're going to be starting Thursdays 9 Eastern on Twitch, doing live streaming. Guys, this is just the beginning though, okay? I have every intention of adding more live streaming time in, so make sure you hit the subscribe and turn the notifications on, because I may just end up going live sometimes at times that aren't scheduled as well. You know, whatever's possible, I'm going to take advantage of, that's for sure. So I just wanted to mention that. And finally, subreddit for TableTopBong as well on Reddit. Go ahead and check that out. Also building a community there where we can talk about things just in a little bit of a different way, right? And the idea is to expand the conversation beyond just the YouTube platform and the rules that go along with that, I suppose, right? Like, there's definitely a more intimate conversation that can be had if we expand where we're talking. So, you know, I've been doing a lot of work on that in the background, and we're ready to go with all of that stuff now, so it's super exciting. But that led me to waking up in a low mood, which was the whole point. Sorry for the segue there. All right, so here's what I typically do. I used the Verdemper today as my example, but I typically will look at a dry herb vaporizer and I will basically find a couple of different ways to use it differently than I normally use it. And I just set a bit of an intention with that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to find a vaporizer that I haven't used in a certain way. And I mean, it can just be as simple as, you know, how you grind the weed. If you always grind into a fine grind, if you grind to a medium or a coarse grind, that's a change. If you always vape at 200 degrees Celsius or 400 Fahrenheit and you change that up by 10 degrees either way, that's a change. So all we're talking about doing is adding a change to the routine. Okay, so what I did with the Verdemper, I'm a bit obsessed with this particular vaporizer because it hits so hard. And I've always wondered what would happen if I could get even closer to the heat source with the dry herb. This is something that's kind of rolled around in my head over and over and over and over. So I woke up in a low mood today. I started looking at my gear and thinking, all right, what am I going to grab? What am I going to do differently so that I could just have one or two bowls a bit different than I'm used to? It's going to set me into the right mindset. I'm going to get a bit lifted and away we go. I'm not going to hit 10 bowls or something. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going for the biggest doses because then I'm going to end up faded, or, you know, I'm going to just end up in that. I don't want to do that. I want to get lifted right now. I just want to come up a bit. So I want to have a little bit of dry herb in a different way. I want to get lifted. I want to get rid of that shitty old mood that's kicked in. All right, so with the Verdemper, I decided I would look at a different bowl, see if I could use a different bowl. So I just looked at my gear and I found my Taroma 360 glass bowl. I put the screen way down low and I looked at it and I thought, what happens if I slide right in the injector? Boom. Would that work? And it does. So now I'm getting the dry herb. I can put in a very little bit of dry herb in just on top of this screen. I can get right up tight onto the heat source and I can rip on this, and I'm going to get a different experience with the Verdemper than I've ever had before because I've never done this. So that immediately got me pretty excited, not going to lie. I started to come right out of that lower mood just upon discovery of this is what I'm going to do. And this is, the whole thing becomes kind of a program for your mind, right? So you start thinking about it and it activates the fact that you're going to elevate yourself. The minute you start looking at your device and thinking about what you can do differently, your brain will kick in and go, okay, I'm going to lift up now. So that's what I did here. And then I found I have some of these little silicone rings that look like this. And what I did is I tried slipping one on in this fashion onto this Taroma 360 bowl to see if I couldn't create something for the injector to actually look at that. So I created a bowl that will go right in and will stay and seal for the Verdemper. So that was what I decided I would do for my do something different with my dry herb vaporizer. So this is going to be a different format with a different bowl, different heat than I've ever had off of the Verdemper as well. Right? I'm starting completely sober. I haven't had a bowl yet today. Typically, I will have a couple of bowls about 20 minutes before I start recording to kind of loosen me up a little bit. I didn't do that today because I wanted to just get on and be honest and genuine about how I'm feeling. You know, you can't always be up. You can't always be that person. But if we can get elevated by the end of this video, then that's going to be a heck of a bonus, right? So, and all it's going to take now is a couple of bowls for me. If you have a lower tolerance, maybe one bowl might do it. If you have a super crazy tolerance, you might need 3 or 4. You know, everybody kind of knows where they're at on their own tolerance, right? So my goal here is definitely to get a good buzz on. But I'm not trying to get absolutely blasted. I'm using decarbed weed, so it's going to hit really hard. I've embellished the terpenes into something that's going to lift me up more, right? More limonene, more pinene, so that I get that lift. So I only want a couple of bowls. I don't want to go too crazy, and I want to do it in a way I've never done it before. Different heat setting, and just get kind of playful with myself, because the idea is all I'm doing is I'm just getting out of my own way long enough to have a sesh that is purely focused on the sesh and not focused on what I've been feeling up until now. This just pulls you out of yourself, and that's all we want to do, honestly, is just get out of our own way just for a minute, connect with the plant, connect with the experience, enjoy the device, enjoy the heat, the breath, and you'll come away feeling completely different. So I'm going to put in like maybe 0.125 of a gram, like not very much at all. You can see how little is sitting on that screen there. Drop it right in this Galaxy Black TableTopBong. I'm going to come in a little closer here. We'll take and we'll put this heat source for the Verdemper on. I'm going to leave the top open. Normally I would put something on the top to slow the airflow, but we're so close to that heat source, I don't want to char the weed, so I want to allow a little bit of fresh air in here. All right, let's enjoy this one. Cheers. Oh yeah, that's a really, really excellent amount of heat on there. That's a very full vaporization without being smoke like vapor. Oh, looks like we got a little bit of a hot spot there, eh? That's the thing with never having done this stuff. You know, some of it's experimental, so you learn something, right? So I learned, okay, there's a little bit of a hot spot there. So this has an adjustable screen. I'll just push the screen down another 1/2 inch before I have another bowl. And you learn something while you do this. And what I found with this, like, I come up with a lot of hacks by coming at things with this kind of mindset, you know? The things where you're like, how do you always think about these weird things to do with devices and stuff? Sometimes it's this little routine right here that brings me some of the best hacks because, you know, if I'm in a real low mood, I want to make sure I do a good job of picking something that I've never done before because I want to make sure I break out of it. And it seems to work. The protocol works really well for me. So I'm not afraid to put, you know, 15 or 20 minutes thought into it. You know, 15 or 20 minutes thought and action is a whole lot better than a low mood that lasts an entire day, right? Let's hit this again. Cheers. Oh yeah, the flavor's crazy. That small adjustment, it worked. So there is a new protocol for me with the good old Verdonk, right? Oh, wow. I'll tell you what. I don't know if you remember what I looked like at the beginning of the video. I don't feel like that anymore. So it worked. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for sharing this time. And hopefully if you hit a low mood and you try this out, it works for you as well as it does for me. Until next time, take care.